Hey there! Today we're going to be talking about a pen made by TWSBI. So we enter the TWSBI cult, has a, I would say, a cult following. This is the Vac700R Kyanite. I requested this pen in particular from Joost Appelboom because I wanted to do another type of video, which I will do. But then I thought, I have not reviewed the Kyanite, I might as well just review this pen. So we're going to cover the parts of this pen. I'll do a writing sample, I'll tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it. But first, a kind thank you to Joost for lending me this pen. Let's get started. The TWSBI Vac700R Kyanite, $123.30. This is Canadian, okay, but that's what came up on Appelboom. Excuse me. About 2.5 milliliter ink capacity, and I'll talk about some other stuff. So TWSBI, I will probably not pronounce this correctly, and you must please forgive me. But the name TWSBI, right? Sen, Wen, Tong, Hall of Three Cultures, SWT. Flip that around, then you get TWS. And B is a writing instrument, so TWSBI. Comes in this box. TWSBI has been around for a long time. Really broke through, I think, with the 530 initially, and then anyway. This is not that pen, this is their Vac700R. So they've been around for a while. I kind of like their boxes. You get this simple cardboard outer box, and then wrapped in this soft or foam-like material is a plastic box, and I've always thought these boxes are kind of cute. So I'll show you this 1 second. Here you go. Very clean looking, very clear plastic. Really, really clear, shiny plastic. Don't just throw out this box because there are gifts at the bottom. So you can take this part out. First of all, here is your Vac700R filling instructions and some things to do and not to do. How to grease it, for example. You get 2 spare O-rings. You get the wrench to disassemble your pen, which is kind of cute and useful. And you get a tiny little bottle of lube, so a little bit of silicone grease. It's really neat, I think, that they give you this, so that you don't have to buy it until you run out, and then you do have to buy it. Now, profound insights with B.R.E. Where's this pen? Here is the pen. I'm going to zoom in on the pen a bit. Oh, I'm sorry, I just hit my desk light. Zoom in on the pen a bit. Cool looking pen, and then we have a Pilot Metropolitan. So the Vac700R, fairly large pen, right? Fairly large pen. So, as I said, $123.30 without tax. That is Canadian, not US dollars. About 2.5 milliliter capacity. It has a mechanism to seal the nib to stop it from leaking. Number 6 nib in various options, extra fine, fine, medium, broad, as well as a 1.1 and 1.5 millimeter stub that adds $3.74. At that point, why even add something, I would say, but we've seen way worse with other companies. Bear in mind, usually those are gold nibs. This is not gold, so it's not that bad. Can be fully disassembled. With that wrench that you get, you can fully disassemble it. If anyone wants me to do a disassembly line video on this pen, I'll ask Hamish to do it, but then you have to leave me a comment saying you would like that. Okay, let's go over the parts of the pen. One of the things I've really liked about TWSBI from the start is the logo. I just think the finials look really cool. I just really, really like the look of that on top of the cap. This Kyanite has a really neat sort of metallic blue finish to it. The clip looks really neat, has a nice bit of texture to it. And then we have this center band which says TWSBI on one side, and on the other side Vac700R Taiwan. And there's also a bit of this kind of colored material on the nib. I'll show you that in just a second. So we have the cap, which has, it's a little hard to capture in the camera, but there are facets on it. The barrel itself is round, tapers down, and then we have facets on this turning knob again. It's a vacuumatic pen. That means you unscrew this end. Can't do it now because there's ink in it. You unscrew this end, you pull it out. This piston seal is pulled back on a rod. You put in a bottle of ink, you push it back in, and as you can see, this barrel flares out right there, right? So it's narrow and then it gets a lot wider. Once that seal goes from this narrow end to the wide end, the vacuum inside pops and ink gets drawn up into the pen. This is a single fill, so it's not 100% full, but I have a video on how to fill the vacuumatic pens completely, separate video. Basically, you very gently push that rod back up until you get rid of this air bubble, put it back in ink, and you have a full fill. And then it's actually, I measured it's more than 2.5 milliliters. For the vacuumatic, I actually got about 2.7, 2.8, I would say, when it is completely full. Okay, we were talking about the parts of the pen. So we have at the end here this turning knob, which I think it looks really neat with all those facets. It also seems to have, because of this blue ring, if you look at it, it has a little bit of a blue gleam, and I thought that was pretty cool. Section, we have quite a step down, right? From this wider end of the barrel to make that vacuum pop, then the threads. It's, to me, a pretty skinny section, and I will defend that. I don't find this a pen I personally can write with for a very long time, but hey, that's just me. We have here the nib collar that you can see, the black piece in there. We have this blue sort of metal piece in there, and then we have the nib, 1.1 millimeter, has the TWSBI logo properly engraved, looks really neat, I think. And then that blue top part of the nib, I think, looks really cool. It elevates that nib a bit. I think it's really quite neat. So I think it's pretty cool. And then we have the feed, which looks good. These fins used to be very fragile on TWSBIs, and I get the feeling they may have made them a little stiffer, which is great. Section unscrews, easy to get in here, clean, etc. And then you can unscrew this end with that wrench. Okay, having said all this, let's look at how the pen writes. There's an ink chamber in there, and if you leave this closed off, it will be closed and no ink. At some point, ink no longer flows in there, and it will stop writing. So I've just opened it up to be able to write with it. Here we have a TWSBI Vac700R. This is the Kyanite, which, if you don't awfully mind, I won't write down. This is Eldergraph blue ink, and this is a 1.1 millimeter. It's a joke. Anyway, steel nib. What I have found about this pen is that it's very, very smooth. It's just a really pleasant nib, very comfortable writer, very pleasant and smooth. I just really, really enjoy writing with this. Okay. Writing over blue pen. Okay, that made no sense. Fast writing, feed keeps up really well. It's a nice wet writer. Like I said, nice and wet. Of course, this is a 1.1 millimeter nib, so you get natural line variation without any pressure, right? A broad downstroke, a narrow side stroke. It's a fairly stiff nib, but again, you get line variation just because of the way that nib is ground. With a nib like that, reverse writing is not typically very appropriate. It's just because of the geometry of the nib. It's kind of a flat and it doesn't have the rounded tipping, so you can forget about that. But that is offset by the fact that you can do some light calligraphy with it. So that is an option. Cute pen, fun pen. I think what we should do next is see what I like and what I don't like about it. Let's get started. What do I like and what do I not like? Just pull on my microphone. Sorry. About this TWSBI Vac700R Kyanite, there's a couple of things I really like. First and foremost, you buy a pen to write with. Nib is fantastic, very smooth, wet, really enjoyable to use, and I've really enjoyed how it writes. It just feels very good, pleasant, glides across the paper, so really great writing performance. Filling system is cool. The vacuumatic filling, I think it's neat. It's a little different. It seems to work well. I think it's a very cool pen to use, different in that regard. And I will say these dark blue highlights on the nib, on the clip, the center band, to me it looks really neat. I think aesthetically it's a very pleasing pen, so I really like that. I like that you can disassemble it. With more exotic filling systems, it can become a pain to clean a pen. You can fully disassemble the pen and you get the tool. I really like that TWSBI from the start has just given you the tool. You get it, you have it, you use it. As opposed to some other brands, some of which have pens that are 10 times as expensive as this and still tool is a separate purchase. If you're gonna design something where you can take something apart, then why not just give people that, what is it, $2 piece of metal? Anyway, tell me how you really feel about it. That's how I really feel about it. Now, I like all that. Downsides, I have noticed that it's a little prone to scratching. I don't know how well you can see this, but inside the cap there already are some scratches. You can kind of see them right here. I wouldn't say it detracts me, but some people might want to try and keep things pristine. Well, then beware, it could scratch. For me, the biggest issue is the price. I only have the Canadian price from Appelboom, but $123. That's not nothing for a plastic pen, steel nib. I think that's quite a lot. So you do get a very nice writer. I will absolutely say that. And the filling system is cool. But I find it a high price. The other thing that I wanted to point out is, for me, the section is very thin. I find it uncomfortable to use. And that is just a function of hand size, and people with slightly smaller hands might find it very pleasant. It's very thin. This section is not an awful lot bigger than a standard normal wooden pencil, and that's not pleasant for me to write with for a longer period of time. So I like it as a pen, I like it as a writer, but I cannot use this pen for more than maybe 5 or 6 minutes at a time, because then my fingers start to cramp up. So if you have larger hands, maybe take that into account if you want to consider it, because it doesn't work for me. That's all. I hope this was useful. A very kind thank you to Appelboom for lending me the pen. And that's all there is to it. I will gladly see you next time. Bye.